Huge Dolphin wins yesterday. Before we get started, follow In The Hunt at MIA In The Hunt on Twitter. Follow Jake at JMendel94 and me, Topher Cochran, at Cochran108. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Listen to us. Rate us. Let us know how much you love us or how much you hate us. And let's get on with the show.
The Dolphins are out of the hunt. It is October. That means it is only one thing. It is Brocktober Fest. We have breaking news. They are turning Hard Rock Stadium into Hard Brock Stadium. I'm Jake Mendel, as always. Topher Cochran on the other line. And Topher, did we just beat the Bears?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think we were part of that, right?
I think we had everything to do with that. That was all us.
That was that game was amazing. It was fantastic to watch. Like it had all the elements of Dolphin football. A close game that became really, really annoying to the point you were so close to turning it off. And then chaos happens and you're like, are they really going to do this? Mm-hmm. And then they kind of do it. And then you're like, oh, really? Yeah, that happened. That's Dolphins football. And then they win.
We were so close, because this is our morning after Monday QB article, of having to put that U into the article. But before we get into the game, I had to use Reddit because I actually went to a Gorillaz concert last night, so I was out of town. And I have to say, Reddit streams are really freaking good. Like, the quality was good. I was texting my dad about the game, and he just, we have the DirecTV ticket, but we do it through the app, so we don't have to pay for, like, the pack, like, DirecTV itself, yada, yada, yada. And I was getting streams faster than he was, and mine's, like, secondhand. So that was pretty mind-blowing for me. That was kind of a revelation. But when I started to hear the doubts about Ryan Tannehill, I got really concerned. And the most interesting way I heard the game summarized is everybody saw Brock Osweiler coming in and thought of that as, okay, we don't have to play as hard. And I want to ask you, do you think the Bears kind of took it that way? They just kind of felt like they had to show up and they'd get the victory?
Possibly. I mean, that game was really close, and then it just seems like in the second half, Chicago just went ballistic in 4 minutes. Part of it was because of Brock Osweiler. He threw the interception. I mean, first of all, he had the interception before the half, and then they came back, they scored, and then he threw another interception, and they scored again. And it looked like the game was just this was a Brock Osweiler game, and this is what we should have expected, and this is what we were thinking was going to happen, right? And I'm sure Chicago thought the same thing. But not so fast. Brocktoberfest took over.
Yeah, let's start with the interceptions. Let's start with there was a lot of good in this game, but let's start with the bad. Let's start with the first interception to Devante Parker on one of his 4 out of the 79 snaps on Sunday. And does he know the difference between going for a jog and running a route?
I don't think he wants to play football like you said in the past.
I really think he just wants out of Miami, because that was bad.
It's one of those things where it wasn't a good throw, but at the same time you gotta at least do something.
It was catchable. I definitely think he could have stopped.
It was tippable. It was tippable, which means just tap it somewhere and knock it down. But I mean it was an arm punt, so. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, he's just you forget about him. You just forget that that's Devante Parker, and we were so excited when he was drafted. Because he wasn't Mike Wallace, right? It was the new guy that you get.
The physical,
not Mike Wallace.
The not scared to go up and make a catch, and it just kind of.
Crap.
I think Mike Wallace has probably almost as many touchdowns in 1 year than Devante Parker has in his entire career. So
he has played more games.
Yeah, easy in one season. So he scored 1 touchdown last year. He has none on the season. So I'll set the over-under. Topher, do you think he scores more or less than 2 touchdowns this year?
Less.
Less? I agree.
He's trending towards injured doghouse because he hasn't done anything to deserve to be on the field. There were more you can name the receivers who deserve to be on the field, right? It's obviously Kenny Stills, Jakeem Grant, Albert Wilson, Amendola. I mean, hell, Nick O'Leary.
That was awesome.
There was just so many things about that game that you got the Parker and you're dude, just get off the field. We don't need him. We don't.
Exactly, and it's more of a pain because I think since 2016 he's been the most intercepted against wide receiver in football, and for a big physical guy, I mean that just common sense doesn't really add up in that situation. So when we look at the other guys, the one thing I really noticed that Osweiler did, yes, there's a lot of like dinking dunk, but the Dolphins have always been that, but he hit receivers on the run, where I think Tannehill's kind of had some trouble with that. You might not see it in the stats because I guess that's the difference between getting tackled after, catching the ball for a 5-yard gain and being able to run for an extra 3-4 yards, because Amendola got really involved. I noticed on the Wilson screen, both Wilson passes hit him right in the gut while he was running. And I think Tannehill hasn't always been great at that. He can do it, but I want to say inconsistent. And the other thing, Osweiler moved in the pocket a lot. I mean, I think there was only 2 hits on him yesterday. One was actually called for a roughing the passer. And just trying to think back to like how clean he looked against the best defense in football. I mean, it just kind of puts into question how comfortable you can be with Tannehill, and kind of what we talked about last week with the backyard football, where you kind of have the feel to kind of move in the pocket, escape in the pocket, and not wait till it's too late, when there are going to be defenders that get to you, and there are going to be times where a lineman misses a assignment, but the quarterback can still get out of those situations.
I mean, you were speaking about the 2 passes to Wilson. You forgot about the third one, which was the first one that he dropped.
Yep, that one too.
Like that was like in stride. You're like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing that I kind of like noticed with Osweiler is like he was just hitting guys. Like he was just if he would hit Amendola in the hole in the zone, this whole game, and it's crazy that it's with Osweiler, is what I think Dolphin fans like imagined
of this team.
This team and of the offense and of Adam Gase. It was a solid running game, and then just hitting your guys and letting your guys make plays. Like that was it. Like that, like that's what we kind of all like hoped. Like that's what, like the way Osweiler played is like what we were really hoping, Tannehill would do. And it's just funny how like it's always with like a backup quarterback that like the backup quarterback comes in and outshines and has like a really great game, and then chaos is in Miami. With Matt Moore and now like Brock Osweiler, like he's gonna turn into a pumpkin soon, right? Like, does he?
I think those Bear uniforms are the closest things we're gonna get to pumpkins.
And it was against a great defense. Like it wasn't against like a slouch, like a crappy team. Like no, it was like against one of the best, the best defense in the league. And credit to like the entire offense, like the offensive line. Like you were, if like you said, if Osweiler started, you think that Khalil Mack is gonna rip his arm off at one point, and you couldn't even tell he was in the game.
That was so surprising to me, and I think the biggest thing, we like we've mentioned in the past, the one thing that's keeping Tunsil and James from being like a top tier tandem, hell yeah, that's some alliteration for y'all, but tackle group is the penalties, and we kind of talked about it, how we'd love to support these guys, but penalties are just as bad as sacks at times, and there's games like yesterday where there weren't any. There was such a clean football game where the Dolphins even had some like 3rd and longs. Like I think they converted a couple 3rd and 10s. At one point I remember hearing they were 7 for 14 on 3rd down. That's something we're not used to, and those are like the pressure situations like when we saw against Cincinnati where Tannehill kind of crumbled. And Osweiler, I guess the best quote of the day is after the Kenyon Drake fumble, which we can kind of sort of talk about that in a minute, was Osweiler, kind of like in a leadership role, came up to him, put his arm around him and said, "It's okay, Parkey's going to miss this field goal and we're going to need you to ice this game." And he ended up having like 24, 25 yards on the last drive. And that's just something you don't hear from like this team whatsoever. Someone stepping up in that leadership role, other than it's, Jarvis Landry when he was throwing a fit, and his version of leadership is getting a 15-yard penalty.
This whole game had the makeup of Dolphins just falling apart.
Yep.
And they've done it twice this year, and I can't say that they would have won this game in the past, where you're down by 2 scores and it's just the game like they've turned it into where like you can't stop watching it if it's a home game, because they could be down and next thing you know they make a couple one or two plays and they're in it. And the one thing I liked about this game is they made these plays within the offense. It wasn't gadgets. It wasn't trick plays. It was within the offense, and it was a consistent performance throughout the entire game. And I thought they were going to lose the entire time. And I was shocked they won. I was jacked up when Sanders made the field goal. I didn't get why Chicago was trying to win with a 52-yard field goal. It didn't make sense to me. But hey, I'll take it.
When you're paying a kicker as much as you're paying Cody Parkey, and I love Cody Parkey, don't get me wrong, but I guess you kind of expect him to make it when you sign him to I think it was
It's just weird coaching though. It's just weird. It's a weird thing to do.
I think we all can kind of agree it was really poor concerted play calling, because I was sitting there, I was watching the game, and it was a little after 4. We had to leave to start going to the concert, and it was when the Dolphins were driving on the Kenyon Drake fumble. It basically got to the point where after that fumble, I literally just turned off the TV and just walked out of the house. But, because I have a problem when it comes to football, I just sat there, kept refreshing Twitter. And just to that's how I saw or heard about the Parkey miss and then the Sanders make. And I was sitting there at the train stop with just my hands in the air. One of my buddies was a Dolphins fan, so we got to kind of, enjoy that. But let's talk about a little bit of Frank Gore. Jesus Christ, man. Did anyone see this? I mean, I think they expected a consistent maybe 4 or 5 yards a carry, but 15 carries for 101 yards?
I get why Adam Gase plays him. You totally understand it. You're not going to question it, and it makes sense. He does stuff that he's ultimately wanted out of his running back. It's just to do their job, and he's going to hit the hole. He's going to get yards. He's going to get he's not going to stop after contact. While as much as you like Drake and what you're getting from Drake and the upside is there, he dances too much. Yeah. And you could see why he was annoyed at Jay Ajayi is because he would kind of improv too much and try to make too much out of nothing, when it's just the holes are there, just hit them.
Exactly.
And he said it the entire year, whether it's in the passing game or the running game, is the holes are there. They just don't have guys to get it. And finally, they got Gore, they got Amendola, to find those holes, and now you just got to hope it all works out now. They didn't even the offensive line wasn't an issue. And is that because of they had just a consistent running game of Frank Gore just hitting the hole and going?
I think that had a lot to do with it, and you kind of spoke about it a little earlier when you said the game just kind of sort of changed, and I think that just kind of goes it's a testament to the Heat in Miami, where teams can kind of keep some sort of rhythm on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. But in the second half, there was just kind of an offensive explosion, and it wasn't necessarily good plays because we still saw 2 fumbles on the end zone. I think Trubisky threw interception in the freaking end zone, and it just
McDonald.
Yep. Out before we move on. How many interceptions, if you had to guess off the top of your head, do you think TJ McDonald has this year?
At least 2. He had one against New York, and he had one yesterday.
Yeah, so he has 2, and I I thought he had at least 3, and he has had to drop at least 3 that were right in his breadbasket. And the Dolphins do lead the league with 11 interceptions, and it's been pretty fun to watch.
They could have had 3 with Rashad Jones yesterday.
Oh, that was a really tough one though. That was a really freaking tough ball to try to intercept, especially when you have Jerome Baker falling into your messed up shoulder. But we just saw all those big plays in the second half, which was just pretty surprising because on both sides of the ball, for the Dolphins, it was a miscommunication that was leaving people wide open in the end zone. I think it happened twice. And then for the Bears, it's you can't just touch Albert Wilson and he falls to the ground.
Yeah, he's proven he's proven that the Dolphins made the right choice, right?
Oh yeah. The one thing that kind of bothered me, I don't know if it was at the end of the game or it had to be near the end of the game. There was a drive where they ran it on first down and did 2 straight screens to Wilson, where I was just kind of
It was an overtime. Overtime.
I was just we can do a little better than that, can't we?
Yeah, but I think it's just him trying to just extend the running game, just make it more horizontal and giving it to those guys. It's not the screen game has been better this year than last year. It was frustrating last year when it was just constantly to Jarvis Landry.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Parker was ever a great blocker, and I don't even think Landry at times we remember like a lot of like big hits on guys. I mean, half the time they weren't really looking, but Stills and Amendola and even Grant can block someone in the secondary, which kind of makes the screen game because you're trying to isolate a 2-on-3, or even you might even try a 3-on-3 at times.
What I noticed sticking with like the blocking in the as a wide receivers is there was like the blocking for those Albert Wilson touchdowns was all the way down to the 5. It was, Amendola was close to not getting a clipping, but then you have Kenyon Drake running down there. You have Kenny Stills. Like you have all these guys all contributing past the line of scrimmage, and that's what you have to do. Like, and so it lets me know that like the offense is, and all the guys have they're doing their jobs. And they're buying in and they're doing their jobs, and it's working. You just kind of need more consistency. And I don't know I don't want to say it's a quarterback thing. Is it?
I think the quarterback doesn't have to play a huge role, but
we've always said that.
But they can't make too many mistakes, and I just kind of ask if Osweiler was playing in the Cincinnati game, how that kind of would have went. I know it's kind of something we can't see, but those 2 turnovers were just so freaking bad, and a lot of the sacks haven't necessarily been the offensive line's fault, because you could say it's a week by week NFL, but the Bears have the best defense in the league, Topher, in the league. They have 10 interceptions, 18 sacks, 9 forced fumbles, and they couldn't do shit against the Dolphins.
They couldn't do anything.
That isn't just, this week everything worked. There's something more to it, and I think, don't hold me to this. You can, because I'm going to try to probably rub it in. I think Osweiler is going to go again, and I think he's going to be the quarterback, and Tannehill is going to be quote-unquote injured until Osweiler does, as you mentioned, kind of turns into a pumpkin. Yeah,
I kind of just want to see it again.
Yep.
Just it's kind of worked out with Dolphin backups. It's just you gotta kind of ride the whole thing out until it turns into a pumpkin.
And the Lions defense
that could happen.
Great. Just saying. We're not getting too far ahead of ourselves, but I'm just kind of throwing that out there. And then the Texans, we have Deshaun Watson's a little hurt. Their defense isn't great. And then you got to face the Jets once and the Bills twice. So Brock Osweiler,
New England at home.
We kind of could have a little sunset rolling. But see, that's what we do as Dolphin fans. They could easily lose the next 4 in a row because we have Brock Osweiler at quarterback. But no.
I think what's annoying with the whole thing is, and it's 100% getting ahead, is Tannehill's going to be 31 with a shoulder, he needs a full year. He needs a full year.
No one at 31 should need a full year. I think Arizona kind of proven that with Sam Bradford this year of the point where after you reach, I want to say 26, 27, and you're still...
You know what you are.
You know what you are, and I think it was Louis Riddick who said, backups can flash. Backups can always flash in the NFL.
Matt Moore has done it.
But starters can do it consistently. So when you look at guys like Devante Parker, Tannehill, these are guys who flash for sure. They look great at times, but if you want to be good in the NFL, you got it more often. One of the things when I was, like I said, I was watching a lot of the game through Twitter, everyone was kind of mad that Kenyon Drake had that ball or the run at the 1 yard line, and I don't. And they were kind of mad at Gase. Why don't you give it to Gore? Why don't you give it to Gore? And he was gassed. And before we even get into, just Gore being tired, you give it to any running back in the freaking world because you expect any running back in the National Football League to go 1 yard. So I didn't really get the Gase hate on that one and the confusion because you have 2 very good running backs. I mean, there were plays. The one thing that stands out with Drake is if he wasn't tackled on a play that really wasn't called, which kind of blew my mind. It was first down. Osweiler kind of escaped to the left, and he had Drake wide open, and the linebacker kind of grabbed his legs. He fell. Otherwise, he would have been running forever. So you have 2 guys who are very good, and I saw no issue whatsoever with Drake getting the ball there, and I kind of like it coming back and giving it to him. That might more be because of Gore being gassed, because I don't know if Adam Gase is really the guy to give second and third chances or try to boost someone's ego as much as it is just he wanting guys to do their jobs, kind of Bill Belichick, I guess. But what's your thought on it?
I wasn't mad at giving it to Drake. I was mad that it was at a shotgun.
That's fair.
I that was my only complaint. It was that it was out of shotgun. Like you could have easily just used your 6'7" quarterback and snuck it in, like or just give it to your just give it to your running back and let him score. It was just out of shotgun, and I was actually I thought it was awesome that he went back to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows you that Drake is his guy. Drake is one of those guys that he likes, and he went back to him. So it was a really cool moment to see him, like, obviously miserable with his, the towel over his head, and you felt so bad for him. I felt so bad for him because he looked awful. Like, imagine being that, where, like, the game is on the line, you're at home, your team's lost 2 in a row, and you fumble at the 1-yard line. And they went back to him, and he proved it that, like, yeah, keep giving him the ball, like, he's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And the running back tandem is, I was trying to think of this, like, is it better than the one with Jay Ajayi? Like, in terms of just, like, guys, just obviously the yards, because we don't know the yards yet. But that year when they had Jay Ajayi kind of go ballistic, it took them, like, 3 or 4 running backs to finally get it until, like, Jay Ajayi had those big games. But, like, right now, man, like, they have, like, it's like the right mix, and it's the perfect mix of explosiveness and also just getting yards when you need them.
I think it's a little different than the Jay Ajayi because for him to be successful, he needed volume. He couldn't give you 7 runs, 10 runs, and then be good because they'd be about 20, 30 yards because he's a home run hitter. Adam Dunn's just going to be our guy, I guess, because he just explained so many different things about the Dolphins. Where Ajayi was kind of like that. I mean, he's going to have a lot of 1-2 yard runs. He'll wear down the defense a little bit, and then boom, he'll break 4 tackles on a gas line, which I'm not saying that's a negative thing because he's a very good running back, but I understood the trade and everything like that. And the one thing I kind of want to throw out, because you mentioned a couple different running backs, I think we might in the upcoming weeks might try to replace for Adam Gase's offense a Devante Parker with like a Kellen Balazs. What would you think about that?
Are you going to put him at wide receiver or just like throw another way to throw out another weapon on the field?
Yeah, you could throw him in like a slot. You could have Drake in a slot. But I kind of like they did that quite a bit where they had Drake lined up as receiver and Gore in the backfield. Yeah, do we want to talk about Nick O'Leary for a minute? Because it makes me a little upset. I get it that they have this guy who can block. Okay, boom, 15-yard catch. You called him a chain mover, which I kind of agree with quite a bit. But I really wish it was Mike Gesicki.
I think we all do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just look at him like a poor man's, like an H-back that's not really that good.
Don't you dare slander Nick O'Leary.
I'm not, but like he did the right thing. We're like, all right, if the play's not working, he kind of just creeps out and you just dump it off to him and let him do it. Like let him like get 8 to 10 yards on a play. And he was a huge part of that game just because he was able to move the chains. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think Gase wanted out of Danny Amendola is, all right, if it's third and 6, nothing's open downfield, Amendola, and you give him and the quarterback has time, Amendola just finds a hole in the zone and just sits there and catches it and falls down. And they've made that a priority, is just find a guy, catch it, fall down, first down. That's it. Don't do too much. Just do that simple thing, and it worked. And like that's why the offense looked great, is because drives were extended. Whether it was a third down to Nick O'Leary, where you're not expecting this guy, and then bam, he does it. Gesicki did have some plays though, right? He like hurdled over a guy, and you're like, give him more of that.
Yep. I agree. And go ahead.
I thought they were actually going to give it to him towards the end zone. He was lined up. But I think they just went to Nick O'Leary for the touchdown. The go-to guy. The go-to guy on the offense, Nick O'Leary.
and
he looks awesome because he has no gloves. It's just because he has no gloves. That's the reason why you love him.
I think we need to think of a name for Nick O'Leary. The one thing keeps coming to my head is how Zach Rudolph. Yeah, Zach Rudolph? Is that? No. Yeah, Kyle Rudolph. His nickname is Big Country. And if he was to go on like IR or something, I think Nick O'Leary would be like Little Big Country, something like that. I think would work, just like the no gloves big guy who's just kind of doing his job. It just kind of works really well. But we've been ranting and raving a lot. Let's talk about the defense for a minute or two. The Dolphins are averaging 2 sacks over the last 2 games. It's something we haven't seen. Somebody asked someone asked Gase about Cameron Wake and mentioned if he had surgery on his knee. And like any situation with injuries, Gase wasn't having it.
I love when Gase starts talking about injuries.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, you want Cam Wake out there because it's better than the alternative. But at least you have Andre Branch back. Bobby McCain needs to come back as soon as possible because holy crap, Torrey McTyer. Like, dude, they need that. They need a second quarterback that just can't give up big plays.
Right.
It's not about making plays. It's just not giving up big plays. And they found, that's the guy you would pick on as the number 2. And that was always the fear this entire year. And it made total sense why they were kind of mixing and matching Bob McCain on the outside, Minka on the outside, because of that right there. Xavier does his job, but that outside corner, man, it's a death. Like that changed the game when Torrey McTyer started to get picked on.
I didn't see it much, and I don't that it could be a good thing, I guess. But I know Tankersley come in. Did they really pick on him a lot, or what was the situation there? Because like I said, I didn't see the last 15 minutes or so of the game.
It seemed like once they were starting to pick on McTyer, and then they just fed it to Cohen, and he just went nuts.
Oh yeah, he made Baker look goofy a couple times.
And then they would.
Fast.
Oh my God, you get he's a little jitterbug. The defense, they just kind of made their plays when they needed to. This is by Travis Wingfield. The Dolphins are 4-2 despite the 22nd scoring offense and 17th scoring defense in football. How might you ask? The red zone. Miami has allowed the opponent inside the 20-yard line 17 times, allowing just 49 points. That's 2.88 points per drive once the opponent is inside the 20. The red zone, right? The red zone defense has gotten better.
The red zone defense has been better than the actual defense, even though they gave up 2 touchdowns in the red zone yesterday. Maybe more. Those I just remember the two off the top of my head. But the fumble at the 1, the flag that might have been a pick play, but I don't know. I'll take it because the Dolphins have been screwed over by it quite a pick. Nice.
No pun.
I'm not even trying, and the puns just kind of spew out. But then the next play after the flag, Mitch just kind of throws an interception. And I think we kind of talked about that in our preview where Mitch isn't the scariest guy in the world. And I think I don't want to get too far ahead, but I mean, Stafford's going to be a guy who's going to throw some questionable balls that are going to, be up and have a chance to be intercepted.
He has the guys to throw it to and to make those throws. He's got Galladay, you figure, Howard's going to cover him, but you got to worry about Golden Tate and Marvin Jones. You got to worry about these guys.
The best trio in the league. I think it's just stopping the running game because I've kind of
Garrett Blount, Kerryon Johnson.
Kerryon Johnson's been fantastic this year. You can ask my fantasy team, but I think it all comes down to if they could have the 2 safeties playing deep and Minka over the middle. Where you can kind of stop the receivers because kind of like what the Patriots did to the Dolphins in the sense of make Stafford beat you, and I don't necessarily know if he's capable, especially in an offense that is a little questionable. And we got to give a big shout out to Vincent Taylor. I mean, Robert Quinn had the fumble.
Suhu?
Suhu indeed. And the one thing that I think I know people like to be petty, but everyone, is going back at Sue saying, because the gash up the middle and the Rams have one of the worst run defenses in the league. And all I got to say to that is the Rams are still undefeated. We should not be talking shit to an undefeated team. Yeah, it's interesting and fun. And yeah, we got a cool team. It's exciting. Sure, have fun with your own guys. Root on your own guys. Don't talk shit to a team that's undefeated.
You're beefing up for the wrong reasons.
Exactly. So I'm excited.
Beef down. Pick on Chicago and Detroit and the Jets.
Yep. Take care of our own guys. Don't worry about the undefeated. We'll worry about the Rams when we reach the Super Bowl, right?
Of course. Yeah, definitely. When half our guys skip the Pro Bowl because they're in the Super Bowl.
But yeah, McMillan was good. Kiko's been. I don't understand the Kiko. I mean, when I joked about him never having hands, I never once said he was bad, even though I do think at times actually he's been better with the not the outrageous hits this year. From what I've seen, he's been just kind of like a solid, like, he doesn't make plays, but he does make plays, but I guess he doesn't try to make the big play. He's just kind of a ball magnet and does what he's supposed to do, and just good things come out of it, because there's the Robert Quinn sack fumble. Charles Harris didn't play, and I wonder if that has to do with him just whiffing on 2 sacks last week, and Gase just kind of already being sick of him.
Well, I know he was hurt. Like, he was he hurt his calf, I guess, and he was out. But hey, why not use that as an excuse? You can't suit up today. You can't suit up today. We're gonna rest you. We're gonna rest you. It's a home game. But it's funny how, like, just when you have a guy playing at their natural position, how much better they look.
Yep. Scheme.
It's scheme guys. You got McMillan out there, like. Yeah, like, once he's in the middle, yeah, he gets beat, but at the same time, like, it makes it makes other guys look better.
That's what the NFL is, though. I mean, in a passing league, like, you still need a middle linebacker. You can't just have a bunch of, like, no offense, but Jerome Bakers where, like, a guard or a center can reach the second level and just take care of them. Like we saw on that Cohen touchdown, Baker was in the right spot, but put him against a left tackle and he's got no chance. You need those big guys, and just the way the NFL works with all the, passing to running backs and whatnot, the middle linebacker is going to get beat sometimes, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're playing bad. It's quote-unquote scheme fit.
It's a weakness. It's just a natural weakness within the defense, and, it might be better to start going to dime and all that, but I was just shocked that the defense, like that was, I still can't get over that game. Like a 31-28 game where you had both teams making plays. You had your quarterback finally, like, throw for like 380 yards. Mm-hmm. Like, that game was just so fun. And, you're like kind of like living on a high for, the next 3 days.
Yeah, and I can kind of, just to kind of wrap it up here, because we're reaching our time here. We talked about the first Osweiler pick, and, Parker could have done something to prevent that pick. And the second one, that's something that doesn't bother me. I mean, it's a weakness, and I don't think they're going to be calling a lot of plays like that. Or, that's a week of practice, just teaching Osweiler to get that out quicker or drive it just a little more. Because he can't really do outside of the numbers short too well, but this isn't a team that has guys to be short on the outside. It's over the middle, beat your guy. Middle
of the field the entire time.
And Osweiler did a great job of understanding the pocket and understanding when I can get rid of it and understanding what guy's open, because I think Amendola had one of his best games. We don't have to we don't have to talk more about what Wilson did, even though he had the most yards after the catch this season. And then you can even look at what Grant did, bouncing a play inside and then bring it into the red zone. Those are things that Osweiler can do pretty well, and that's kind of all we need in this offense. You need a quarterback that doesn't have to light up the world. They just need to not shit themselves when they're up 17-0.
And and he didn't. Well, he kind of shit at Chicago, right?
Yeah,
he shit at them, but it comes down to he was just reading the defense. He was getting guys set up. And, I don't know if, like, you assume Tannehill can do the same thing. But, yeah, man, it was just weird to see it. Because it wasn't like Matt Moore games. Like, this guy was throwing, like, piss rockets to, like, Amendola. And everything was working. Everything was clicking. And you're hoping that, it was a mixture of the heat as well. Which, by the way, Jake, living down here, man, it was 91 degrees at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, and then it was like 101. It felt like 101 at kickoff.
It's miserable. I don't even go outside. I don't even go outside anymore. I just stay inside. I go from inside to inside because it's so damn hot that I could totally get why the Dolphins are playing amazing at home, is because it's miserable. It's miserable to like walk to the grocery store.
Yeah, I'm in pants and sweatshirts already. But Topher, Spotify, iTunes, Podbeans. You can find us. Podbeans. Ooh.
Podbeans.
We might have to make our own bean brand on that one. Cochran 108. You can find Topher at MIA in the hunt, and at me. You can at me, yes, because I've seen the ats I've been getting. Some I won't call out because gotta be an adult sometimes. But at JMendel94. Let's talk some football. Topher, you got any last words?
Yeah, man. Fins up.
Fins up.